Yo, what's going on, people, and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be a collaboration with my bro Valentine the Plug. If you haven't checked him out before, then his link will be down below. So he's kindly sent me this sample that I'm going to flip and vice versa on his channel. He's going to obviously break it down on this channel, so I will show you how he did it here.
Beautiful folks, what is up and how are you doing? This is your favorite struggling R&B producer, Valentine the Plug, and I just need a couple of minutes of your time to break down the sample that Hicks is about to flip. So follow me. So to me, when making this sample, it just felt like a daydream in music form with chords and a vocal sample. The piano that I'm using is Noir Felt. I usually choose the Felt variant as opposed to the pure variant. And then that's when I just started laying down some chords. So starting off, you can already see that we're working in the key of B minor. So that's the key that we're working in. I'm starting off with an E minor ninth, and that then goes into an A major sixth chord. But you flip this note down and you can actually see it's an inverted F sharp minor seventh. Now that then goes onto this F sharp dominant seventh chord, which is a chord a lot of y'all know. But this chord here is actually an inverted B7 sus2 chord. And this phrase is completed with this F sharp augmented seventh chord. So there's a lot of altered chords that either have notes raised or that are just there to create tension. I mean, this B7 sus2, for example, you take this third, you pitch it up, it's a B minor seventh. So, you know, there's a lot of power in just raising or flattening the notes in your chords to get cool effects. Now, this here is basically the same chord progression, just with some notes apart and inverted. And right here, you can see that I'm landing on a regular F sharp minor 7 chord, just to get that feeling of coming home. So that's just our chord progression. So as I said in the beginning, I thought that this was a dreamy sample, and a lot of that is due to the sound of this patch. This one is actually, I think, in a lo-fi and vinyl bank in Omnisphere, and it's called Grandma's Piano Memories, and it sounds a little bit like this. Now, the most prominent thing you're hearing is, of course, that plastic chime piano, which is the sample, which is it's based upon. But there's that vinyl popcorn effect, which I really, really like. Now, what I could have done to make it a lot more cooler is actually take a couple of fifths and thirds and pitch them down so that the voicing is a lot more open, because that gives you a very airy and dreamy feeling. But that's just something that y'all got to keep in mind when you're making your own samples. Now, pads, in my opinion, are really there just to complete that ambience. I usually describe them as one big ambient hug that kind of hugs your keys and wraps them in this kind of smooth layer of just atmosphere and total vibe. The pad I chose to do that is the Baby Angelic pad, which is actually part of the Loophole kit, which you are going to have to cop if you want to get that sound. But it's one of my most used pads at Analog Lab, and it really just does the trick. And it sounds like this. And also notice how I am keeping it super dry. The pad was fine as it is. Now, what I consider the most defining thing about this little sample right here is actually the guitar licks. And honestly, as I'm sitting here, I wish I played them by myself, but they're actually from a Keep It Casual kit. And Arcade, as some of y'all know, they had their big 2.0 update a while back, so they really knocked it out of the park with all of these new kits and stuff like that. So these are what those little licks are sounding like in Arcade. So I topped the entire thing off with vocal samples. I actually am using the same vocal sample, however one is pitched down an entire octave to get that deeper effect. This is a processing chain that I'm using. I'm using Autotune, purely cosmetic, get a little bit of artifacting in so that it, you know, kind of sounds like an actual recorded studio vocal. Equalizer, of course, which cuts out a lot of frequencies. Raumann's Replica, which are my reverb and my delay respectively. For spaciness, my multi-band compressor, tame the dynamics a little bit because it is still a mastered waveform, and crystallizer just to play with the tail end a little bit, get some granular echo synthesis in just for some creative effects. So this is what it sounds like right now. So the entire sample sounds like this. And after this, Hicks is going to take it away.
So from the sample that he sent you and I've just shown, I brought it down 5 BPM. I think it was a 75 BPM, but I changed it to 150 and then brought it down by 5. With the sample, I didn't really need to do too much. It had a nice core structure and I felt like adding too much will make the beat just harder to get a rhythm from the drums. First thing, I've just cut some of the guitar just for like a bridge section because obviously it's going R&B. With these like riffs on the guitar, I've just like reversed them, sped them up, and they sound like this. Kind of use that as like a riser effect just to give it back a feed into the other sample. So next I wanted to just manipulate the vocals that he sent me just to change them a little bit, just give a nice different texture and feel. I just reversed these vocals. And you can sort of hear within vocals, it gives it like a nice little like lead synth sound. Don't know how it's done that, but it just sounds very nice. I think I might have sped them up so that it was a bit quicker. So all I've done with this is just add this shaper box filter with a 71 mix. Didn't want the whole sound to be just completely cut out, so it's just going down, so it's like just low pass filter in it as it goes along. And then I've just literally EQ'd out a lot of highs and lows, you can see here, and then a very wide width heavy delay, so it's panning left to right really crazily. Next I use this electric piano by Lounge Lizard as like a passing chord back into the sample of every 4th bar, sort of like I like to do on my samples, just to give it a nice like rhythm and just like bringing it up and then bringing it down sort of thing. And all I did on that was just a little bit of EQ, ping pong delay, but I've changed the left to be quicker and the right to be more frequent. And then I've just took out some lows, and then as you can see here, I've just added extra percussion and just manipulated them by EQing them. All I did with this sample is use this EQ, brought out some like 1.8, and then I've sort of just downsampled like 3K and just brought down some lows. Here I just wanted to make it a little bit brighter because I feel like there's quite a lot of tape saturation on a lot of the instruments, and I feel like using that sometimes it can just lose the core sound of everything. So I'll just use like a stereo width to just make it wider. Then halfway through the sample you can see here I've got a shaper box and a halftime, and then I used another filter on it so it filters out and just like has like a pulsing sort of effect, but changing the frequencies a little bit. With the pad sound I extracted that and sort of just made it reversed and faster, so it sounds like this. And all I've used on that is a side chain just to give that pulsing effect. So for the drums I started off just a regular hi-hat that just has different velocities. Then I've layered this with just a normal snare, hi-hat, same there, and then I just use this roll so it sounds like this. Then I've used like a hi-hat, a clap that I layered on the 4th bar of the snare, and then I use like a perk. And then lastly just a hard hitting kick. So I've used this Peace of Mind 808, and I sort of just stopped it at each like snare just to give it a cool bounce. And then for like the intro and the bridge section I just used this bass. I'm going to play the sample from here and I'll show you how it sounds. yeah, that's how the whole beat all come together. It comes together nicely. If you want to check out the other video that's on Valentine's channel, then do so. It's going to be down in the link. Please subscribe to him. Go show some love. You know what else to do? Like down below, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, people.